Poker comes in many forms, but no variant of the game is more popular than Texas Hold'em. You've seen it on TV, you've seen it in movies, video games, it's everywhere. You're here to learn the basics of the game and you've come to the right place. So sit back and let us tell you everything you need to know about playing Texas Hold'em online. So what is Hold'em poker? Well, you're looking to make the best possible 5-card hand using 2 cards that you're dealt, hole cards, and the 5 community cards that get dealt during the round. Now, you don't have to use both of your hole cards. You can use one, none, or both to form your best 5-card hand. Community cards are cards dealt face up throughout the round that all players at the table use to build their strongest 5-card poker hand. There's a maximum of 4 betting rounds in Hold'em, which we'll get to shortly, but the objective, obviously, is to win everybody else's chips. So how do you win? Well, your 5-card hand has to be better than anyone else's at the table that is still betting and playing after the community cards have been dealt, or everyone has folded their hand, leaving you the last in the game. Let's get into what sort of hands you'll be looking for in Hold'em. Hand rankings in Hold'em look like this. The lowest would be high card. If you win a hand with nothing but a high card, consider yourself lucky. Next up is a pair, which is a hand that has a pair of cards of the same value. For example, a pair of queens. Then we've got 2 pairs. For example, 8s and kings. Then there is 3 of a kind, or trips, or a set. 3 of the same cards in your hand, so 3 10s for example. Next up is the straight. 5 cards in your hand that run sequentially. So 6 through 10 or 10 through ace, and just a heads up, the ace can be used in the low straight as well, so ace 2, 3, 4, 5. After the straight, we've got the flush. Any 5 cards from the same suit. So let's say you've got a 4, a 7, 8, jack, and king all suited diamonds. This is a flush. Next up, the full house. A hand consisting of 3 of a kind and a pair. So 3 queens and a pair of 8s, for example. 4 of a kind is next on the rankings. Pretty self-explanatory. 4 of the same card, so 4 6s in this example. What happens when you combine a straight and a flush? Well, you get the straight flush and the next hand in the rankings. 5 cards in sequential order, but all of the same suit. 8, 9, 10, jack, queen of hearts, straight flush. And last, but certainly not least, is the royal flush. A hand consisting of 10, jack, queen, king, and ace, but suited. In this instance, clubs. Nothing beats this, so congratulations, as you've just got a hand with a 0.00323% probability, and now you have the right to talk trash. One last note, if you have the same hand as another player, the winner will be determined by the high card. For example, if you both have a flush, but you have a 10 high flush and your opponent has a jack high flush, the jack high flush wins. Same thing for a straight and even for a pair. If the highest card is on the board, then this results in a split pot. If you have identical hands as another player, you split the pot as well. Also, if you both have a full house, whoever has the higher ranking 3 of a kind will win the hand. Before we get into the game, here are some of the Texas Hold'em terms you're going to need to know. Let's start with check. This is when a player makes no wager and therefore betting action is passed to the next player. Raise is when someone to your right wagers a certain amount and then you increase that by a certain amount when it's your turn. Call is when you match the highest bet that is currently on the table. Blinds are forced player bets that are put into the pot before the cards are dealt. Only 2 players put out blinds, the big blind and the small blind. The small blind is half the minimum bet, while the big blind is the full minimum bet amount. The flop. These are the first 3 community cards that the dealer lays down in the middle of the table. The turn is the 4th card laid down by the dealer in the community cards. The river is the 5th and final community card and the last opportunity to strengthen your hand. Also, it should be noted that there are 2 types of Hold'em games, the cash game and the tournament game. Cash games are games played at one table, where players exchange money for chips. So think of a cash game as a game that you and your friends organize for a Saturday night. One advantage here is that you can leave the game when you like and take your chips with you. Tournament games can be played at one table as well, but frequently involve multiple tables. Players buy in and get the same amount of chips, but the tournament doesn't end until one player is left standing with all the chips. Okay, so now let's take a look at the table setup, and we'll use a 6-person table in this video and get into a sample hand. The first thing to know is that everybody gets a turn as the dealer. The dealer button goes around the table to indicate who the dealer is for that particular round. The dealer button moves around clockwise after each hand. Strategically, you're in a good spot as the dealer. If you're in after the flop, the dealer is the last person to act, so you get to see how everyone else bets. This is a pretty nice advantage. Remember the blinds? Before cards are dealt, big blind and small blind have to make their bets. Small blind is the player to the dealer's immediate left, and big blind is the second player on the dealer's left. Once those blinds are in, the game begins. Players are dealt 2 cards face down. These are your hole cards, or pocket cards, and they're yours. Once everyone has their pocket cards, betting commences starting with the player to the left of the big blind. The first person to start the betting pre-flop is what's known as under the gun. Everyone is free to raise or call in this round, so let's say everyone stays in to get to the next round of betting. They call to the big blind. We'll call the blinds at this point of the game $1 small, $2 big, so everyone calls at $2. All right, everyone's in. Let's go. The dealer discards the top card of the deck. This is called burning a card, and then deals the flop, the first 3 community cards on the table. Then we start the next round of betting. In this round, the person sitting left of the dealer starts us off. This person will check with pocket 7s. Player 5 will check with that ace hanging around. Player 6 will check and the betting comes to you. There is a queen of diamonds in the flop, so that gives you a pair of queens. Let's say for the sake of this example, you get some betting action going with your pair of queens. There are different kinds of betting rules in Hold'em, but for the sake of this video, we'll use limit Hold'em betting rules. To bet here, you'll have to match what the big blind is. So let's say small blind is $1 and big blind is $2. You'll need to bet $2 to get things started, and if you want to raise, you'll have to double the big blind. Player 2 is going to call since they have a potential straight draw. Player 3, the dealer, is also going to stick around with a pair of 3s and see if they can get lucky on the turn. Player 4 calls with those 7s. Player 5 is going to call as well with that ace, while player 6, not in a good spot with 2-9 offsuit, folds. Now we have a table of 5 players, and it's off to the next round of betting, the turn. Once again, the dealer burns the first card and flips over the next one into the community cards. And look at that, ace of spades. So now you're sitting with a pair of queens and a pair of aces. Again, betting begins with the person left of the dealer, so that will be player 4. They have a pair with those pocket 7s, so they'll check. Player 5 is going to check as well with a pair of aces now. Player 6 folded, so it's up to you now. Although obviously you don't know it yet, but you're in the driver's seat with 2 pair. You're going to test the waters here and bet $8. Player 2 is going to hang around in hopes of that straight. Player 3 is going to fold with pocket trays, and player 4 is going to follow suit with 7s. Player 5 has some thinking to do, but for the sake of the example here, this player will fold as well, considering that low kicker card. Now it's just you versus player 2, and it's off to the next round of betting, the river. The river card is a 6, so you're feeling pretty confident, while player 2 isn't, due to the fact that they didn't catch anything on the river. You're going to bet again here with a great 2 pair and help deter this person that was chasing a straight. And it worked. They're going to fold their hand. This means you win with 2 pair. Talking strategy in Hold'em is different from, say, a game like Blackjack. Strategy in Hold'em will be different from game to game and even hand to hand. But here are some things to know as a beginner. First off, the pocket 2-7 offsuit is a statistically atrocious hand and one that most people will fold immediately. But of course, if you get something like pocket aces, pocket kings, pocket queens, king and ace, you'll want to stick around to see which community cards are put out there since you're off to a great start. Also, when you're playing and you begin to see over cards on the table, it's best to get out of the betting. An over card is a card that is ranked higher than anything in your hole cards. For example, if you're sitting there with a 5 and 6 offsuit, and then the flop is all cards that are ranked higher than your 6, it's probably in your best interest to bail out because of the probability that someone else at the table can pair those up. There's no shortage of things to learn, strategy to develop, and many other aspects of Texas Hold'em that make it a game where you really don't stop learning. The best thing to do is just practice. You've got the basics down now, so it's time to hit a table and start to develop your skills in your game. But always remember, play within your limits and always gamble responsibly. To stay up to date on the latest game guides and strategy, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Gamble Online, the world's leading resource for online gambling information since 2008.